Okay, back out here at the shop doing a little work today, and today's project, you see these blue crumbs all over the floor. That is what's left of my radius arm bushings. So both sides fell apart. They just disintegrated. I remember when I put those on, I thought, man, polyurethane, good for life. Not so much. Look over here. It's probably not 300 miles on that shock absorber, but they were put on, I don't know, 15 years ago. So something else that I just now noticed when I took these tires off. So I'm set up, ready to do this. I'm going to do C bushings, radius arm bushings, you know, the back and front. I got this kit, picked it up from National Park Depot, just up the road from me in Ocala. Went with the black. These are 4 degree. I got a 3.5 inch lift, so that's the size I need. I'll also put the track arm bushings in. I think that's all that comes with the kit: radius arm bushings and track arm bushings. So I was reading online. I've done this before, obviously. This is actually the 3rd time I've done it. I had a set of yellow ones in there at one time, and then when I put the lift on it, I went to the blue ones, and I don't remember exactly how I did it, but I thought, well, I'll look online, get a little refresher. They're saying take the tie rod off. So I'm not sure why. Take the brake line loose. It mentioned taking both brake lines loose. Well, I'm just going to take the one off in the middle, I think, over there. Take the vent hose off the frame. Take the U-joint loose on the front drive shaft, and take these bottom shock mounts loose, and take the spring cups off, drop the axle down. I got these jack stands supporting the frame. Got my floor jack under the pumpkin. I think rather than take the tie rod off, I'm just going to pop the pitman arm off the steering box, and I'll zip tie it up somehow, wire it up, because I think the C bushings will come off. I think the fronts will come off without pulling the tie rod off. I'm sure they will. So I'm not sure why I was supposed to take those off. But anyway, let's see how it goes. So here's where I am. I've got the nuts off the rear of the radius arm. I floated the shocks there. They're hanging. Took the bottom bolts out of both shocks on both sides. I left the brake connected to the brake line. See, it's still got plenty of slop. I left the vent line connected also. I took the pitman arm off the steering box and just spun it around and let it rest on the tie rod. My next step will be to remove those 4 bolts that hold the C bushings on each side, 4 bolts on each side. I'm hoping I can get the C bushing caps off without removing the tie rod. And the directions say to remove the tie rod. But in hindsight, I think I could have just left the springs hanging there too. Save taking the top loose. But it's kind of nice that they're out of the way. So, see how these 4 bolts here go. Alright, well those came out way easier than I had any right to ask. Probably because this was all done 18 years ago, but not that many miles ago. And there's the old bushings. Never really liked the blue anyway, even though it's, I guess, Ford colored. So I'm going to put a little wire brush on that. It's not scaly or anything. I think I cleaned them all up when I did them last. And then I'm going to grease up those black ones and put them back on after I catch my breath. Alright, here I have the new C bushings in on the front. It went in pretty easy. Didn't have to do a whole lot of cleanup because I did this not that long ago and everything was still looking pretty good. And then we got both the rear strut arms, or the rear radius arms, hitting the ground at the same time, and I jack it up at the back of the front diff there and set it back down, which is important so the truck will sit level. I did have to finagle that a little bit, but I just loosened one side, tightened it in a little better order to make it come out right. And they both look good. They're all torqued, ready to go. I also have the bushings in the track arm. It's not tightened down yet, but it's ready to get tightened back down and put in its top mount and have cotter pins back in it. So we'll do that last though. Next step, this end. Alright, I'm so excited. My rear bushings are on. My C bushings are in place. The bolts are all torqued. Radius arms are level. I've got to put cotter pins back in the back too, and I can move up to reconnecting everything up here, although I'm going to have to leave the shocks off. I may go ahead and hook them up for temporary. I got to order new shock bushings. The ones on the other side are like gone. So, progress, yes. Here I have the track bar back on, both sides, cotter pins in them. I also reinstalled the drag link. Well, I guess I should say the pitman arm on the steering box. When I was centering it, I was cranking the wheel back and forth and it puked some fluid, but it came out of the top there, so not sure why it did that, but it was running alright, driving without losing any fluid, so I think it's okay. I have the axle back on the jack stands. I'm going to put the springs back on. That's my next step. Okay, this one's done, except for shocks, which you can see need bushings. But everything else is finished. Springs are mounted back up. That was probably the hardest part. Drive shaft connected. Pitman arm. The track bar. Now I took the pitman arm loose and I did not remove the tie rod. The directions on the internet, on the old interweb, say to take that off. I don't know, unless you just wanted to service the joints and paint it. I don't know why that would need to come off. But everything else, I kind of did like the interweb instructions said, and it wasn't too hard of a job. Now mine had been apart not that long ago. I mean 20 years ago, but 18 years ago, but not that much mileage ago. So it's all back together. I didn't even spend a lot of time cleaning things up because I'm gonna pressure wash it next time I get it out in the yard. See, it's got dust all over everything, and get it looking a little more respectable. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Maybe the seats. That's something I can move forward on. I need to tighten all the body mounts. That's something I can do. I need to bleed the brakes. So probably bleed the brakes next, tighten body mounts, then do seats. That's what I'm thinking.